Once you are accepted into our program and you're hired on day one of training, you're paid $600 a week. But once you successfully complete the program and you're placed in $25 an hour for our entry level junior developers, and then a pay increase can happen. We do $5 pay increases.
Have you seen people come into the program with like no prior coding knowledge or coding experience at all?
Some of our best and most successful consultants, they were bartenders. They ran restaurants or they had their own businesses, stay at home parents. There's a lot of folks who come out of the military. It's a gamut of so many people coming from so many different backgrounds. I feel like my role right now is I'm life changer. I'd say that all the time. And it means like I want to change lives. I'm an alumni of this program. I graduated from the pilot program in 2016 and it changed my life.
What's up, guys? It's Andrew Baines from the Custom Journeys podcast. This show is all about helping you all have a successful career in STEM and helping you find your way in your journey. So that's whether you want to be a tech entrepreneur or work a 9-to-5 job in tech. This channel is all about helping you be successful in your endeavors and then also spotlighting diverse STEM professionals. I am very excited today to have Dee Hampton on the show. I get a lot of requests and inboxes from people trying to break into tech. I've spotlighted tech apprenticeships quite a bit on this channel, and we have another great opportunity for you all today. Dee Hampton is the Community Partner Manager at York IT Solutions, and she's going to talk about their B2E program, which is a tech apprenticeship program. You can learn cybersecurity, software engineering, maybe IT. Dee, is that correct? Give me a thumbs up.
Reading.
Cool. So basically, if you don't know about tech apprenticeship programs, this is the perfect opportunity for you to get paid to learn on the job. So the expectation is that you don't have to come in with pre-existing experience as a coder or a software engineer. You can kind of get a job, start learning on the job, and it's a great opportunity for you to get your feet wet. But Dee, I kind of did an introduction, but I'm so happy to have you here today. How you doing this morning or this afternoon now, actually?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm wonderful and I'm honored to be on your show. I love what you're doing. You're changing people's lives, you're changing families' lives. And that's what I want. That's what I want to do as well.
Awesome. And you are doing that. I know you kind of told me about some of the students that you've had in the program, in the
Mhm.
B2E program. I was first made aware of tech apprenticeship programs from an interview with Mike Roberts. He's at Creating Coding Careers down in San Diego, California. And it just kind of blew my mind about this model that's out there. And I think this, if I'm being truthful, I think this is the model that every company, every industry should model, where
Mhm.
you need to stop just sourcing talent from colleges and universities and start providing opportunities for people from alternative pathways or non-traditional pathways and things of that nature. And so can you kind of tell us a little bit about the B2E program, what it is, kind of give us the elevator pitch and what people should be aware of for the B2E program at York?
I will. Barriers to entry. That's the B2E program. And York Solutions is and has been around since 1995 as a trusted IT consultant company. And the barriers to entry program started, we're going to be going into year 7 this fall. And it started off with functional roles, but we've been focused the last 2.5 years in software development. But this is an amazing opportunity. There's many ways to get into IT. And we feel that we have one of the best recipes of getting in right now. And that's through paying individuals to come into our program. They come in and they train and they're allowed to have an opportunity to become a developer. And we have a contract, of course. So you come in and you work, you get paid. You're a W-2 employee, but you're contracted to train and then go work with our clients. And we're partnered with over 41, 42 um, clients right now, major Fortune 500 companies. And our goal is to get people started in their career. We're not an employment agency. We're not a boot camp. A lot of times people get confused with those things. What we're doing more than that. So this is a pathway, not for everyone, but for many. And I'm happy that you're allowing me to spread the word about this program because we are changing lives.
I'm glad you mentioned boot camps. I've talked to a lot of boot camp graduates and program managers for boot camps. Those are very accelerated. I'm all for alternative pathways, but I feel like when you're trying to cram somebody's brain with that much, like 2 years worth of knowledge in 15 weeks, a lot can be lost in the process, right? And so, like, how long is your program, and what can people typically expect if they go through it?
Yeah. What's similar to the way that we train, one of the similarities, it is what that is like a boot camp. We do have accelerated learning. So it is a lot to learn in 3 months. But what we don't do is we don't just be like, oh, here's a certificate, good luck, hope you find a job. What we do is we have contracts written up front with the client, and they say how many people they need, what the language focuses are, the concepts and practices that are unique to that company, unique to that environment. We teach that, we base our curriculum on that, and then we hire individuals in and we train them on that. And then we place them with the client. And then you have that full year to be working, like an apprenticeship where you're working and you're gaining knowledge. We don't just let them go either that first year. We stay with them. So yes, you have this accelerated 3 months of training, but once you get placed, you're continuing to learn. You get placed with mentors, senior developers and subject matter experts so that you can build that first year to start your career. And the goal again by year one to become an employee of that company. That's what the whole contract looks like.
That's amazing. I think it's lately I've been hearing the term conscious capitalism more, and I think that's
Mhm,
really just spotlighting or bringing awareness to the idea that hey, you can be a for-profit business that's looking to make money, but also have an impact. And obviously, that's what you guys are doing because it's not just hey, let's make as much money as we can. Let's just bill our clients for as much money as possible. But then you're
mhm,
actually transitioning those people. Your goal is to actually give them away so that they can continue
mhm,
to progress their career. So that's
mhm.
amazing. What
Yeah.
what what can people expect to learn? Like, I know it sounds like it's based on the client's needs. So, like, whether it's a software
Mhm,
engineer, IT
mhm.
professional, or cybersecurity professional, but maybe in the software engineering space, what kind of technology languages or tech stack will people learn? Is it JavaScript, React, or is it Java? Is
Mhm.
it what can they kind of expect there?
Well, again, because it's tailored to the client, the need of the client, most of our, for the past 2 years, well over 2 years, we've been focused on Java full stack. That has been the want from the clients, but as well as, you know, we have, you're going to SQL and I can go down the line, React and JavaScript and HTML. You're learning all the basic foundational level, but then we've had clients that have wanted a data engineering focus. So it's been the wide range, and then maybe mid class they go, oh, we'd like to for them to learn a little Angular or whatever. We're always open to getting as much information from the client about their environment, what they're using, even down to if it's an agile team, are they working Scrum? So we know to teach that. We know what tools they might be using. Are they in Jira? So we have Jira training, things like that. So we get as much concepts and practices and the language focus, but also again, we're also teaching them how to learn because there's been times where the focus has been one thing and when somebody is placed and it shifts and changes once they're in their role. So they need to be able to be adaptive and adapt and learn and knowing how to learn and getting all those basic foundational level skills so that then they can gain that knowledge once they get placed.
Gotcha. And let's get a little bit deeper into the details. So you mentioned there's like a 3-month training period, and then they're placed
Mhm.
at the client for a year. What can they expect during that 3-month training period? Is it like 40 hours a week, like hands-on coding, and is it also like some soft skills component as well? Because I'm sure we
Mhm.
both know and agree that there's some struggles, there's just some opportunities there on the soft
Mhm.
skills side. So what is that 3-month training period like?
Yeah, we hire folks into our program. So it's a work week and it looks like a 40-hour, 8-hour, day, Monday through Friday. And within that time, you're getting this accelerated learning, but we're we're not just giving you a bunch of instruction and listening to an instructor all day. There's a lot of immersive learning, a lot of projects, peer partnering, working in team projects, and it looks like like you're working with a team in an organization. So you come and you work, and of course there's live led instruction. All of our classes are remote. So we had an opportunity because of a client who was national. We went national last year, so we've opened it up to individuals who are located throughout the United States. Most of our clients are open to that, but there are some of our clients who are only hiring within the Twin Cities metropolitan area, Minneapolis, St. Paul. So we do have some clients, but majority of them have been open to remote work. But we've always been remote in our training, and so our instructors are live led. But you are also getting this amazing opportunity to work with this cohort because everybody's going to be placed with that client. So you get to leverage your cohort as well. So you're learning with each other, you're gaining all that knowledge, and once you get placed with the client, you still get to leverage each other and grow. We have some amazing instructors, and our classes are not tailored to the needs of York, but again, tailored to the need of the client. So yes, we know when they get into these corporations that they are going to need these soft skills. They're going to need to know, how to introduce themselves. They're going to need to combat that imposter syndrome. So we have, in classes around that. And most teams are working on Microsoft Office Suite. So we want to make sure that they know how to send an email and they know how to set up meetings and things like that. So yeah, we do incorporate all of that in. My focus in the training is the non-technical side. So I am the non-technical. I take off that my community partnership hat and I put on the hat of non-technical instructor. So it's a lot to learn in the 3 months, but we want to make sure that people come into the program can take an accelerated course and be able to learn quickly because again, this program isn't for everybody. So if we identify that someone may not be able to learn at a fast pace in our interviews, I would recommend another program for them.
Gotcha. And I think that's a great segue into like talking about like the application process a little bit.
Mhm.
And so when you say the program's not for everybody, who is like the ideal candidate or the individual that should really take advantage of this program? I think everybody should at least like apply if
Mhm.
you're interested in the space. But in terms
Mhm.
of like the selection criteria or who you guys are looking for specifically, what does that person like look like or work like or their learning style, those kind of things?
And it's vast and huge. We think differently when it comes to recruiting individuals because when you think you don't know. It is barriers to entry, but we want to make sure that we are focused on individuals who would more likely not be able to get into tech. So we focus on, stay-at-home parents, military, there's a lot of folks who come out of the military who transition into civilian life, and that's difficult. And in translating the work they did in the military. We have a lot of stay-at-home parents who want to do something like anything in IT, because we talk the functional role too, because I think it's important for people to know that what I didn't know is IT is everything. And it's, some people have to run these development teams and there's roles for that as well. We have that side of our training. But I, I have learned that I had a bias in who I thought was for this program and I opened this up. That's why the community partner role that I've stepped into from being the program manager to creating this role in October was because I really found out that I can't box people in. And what we do find that people that are most successful in our program come from a lot of different backgrounds. And they have the aptitude to learn. They believe in continuous learning, and they're just hungry for a life changing career that someone that wants that work life balance. And a lot of times when you say, well, I think these type of people or individuals or coming from this type of background would be a good fit. I had that has been demolished for me. It's anyone who has a drive, who really wants to work hard and build in their career. Some of our best and most successful consultants, they were bartenders. They ran restaurants or they had their own businesses, stay-at-home parents. It's a gamut of so many people coming from so many different backgrounds that I don't like to define it into one box.
I can appreciate that. Number one, I appreciate the transparency, right? Because I think
Mhm.
everybody has some sort of bias, right? Based on who you are individually, the environment you're raised in, and we all need to be like aware of what those biases are and how they impact like the hiring practice is. And I think
Mhm.
acknowledging that and being transparent is so much better than just trying to sweep it under the rug or saying, "Hey, I don't see color, I don't see your school and what you went to and things like that." We all consider different factors in the hiring process, so I think it's great that
Mhm.
you guys have taken those conscious steps to say, "Hey, what are our biases? Where are our blind spots at?" We don't need to just be looking at the computer science grad that doesn't have a job yet. We need to also open it up to the stay-at-home parents or the bartenders or the teachers or whoever the case may be. And
Mhm.
yeah, I just see it as you guys giving the underdogs a shot, so I can appreciate that because in this new age, a lot of people are looking for something different, something new, and the world's
Mhm.
only gonna get more and more technologically advanced, and I think it's great that you guys are opening up the world of opportunities for people. One thing I forgot to mention, something that's highly important, to everybody watching this is the money, right? Like, cause we
Really,
I know,
it's
right? We
certainly
gotta you can't go through this life without making money, unless you
mhm.
like a trust fund baby or something like that, but majority of us can't go through this life without making money.
Well,
Can
trust
you
me, you got money. It's all about money still.
Yeah, true. Facts, facts. So can you kinda tell us a little bit about, what the pay is during the program? And I know from talking to you that it changes at different points throughout the program, but can you kinda break that down? Like, what's the starting salary, and then how does it increase throughout the program?
Yeah. Once you are accepted into our program and you're hired on day one of training, you're a W-2 consultant. So your pay is $600 a week. And so that averages out to like $15 an hour. So we say $600 a week, and because that's a 8 hour day, 40-hour week. But once you graduate and successfully complete the program, and you're placed in $25 an hour for our entry level junior developers, and that stays consistent for 6 months. And then a pay increase can happen. We do $5 pay increases. And of course, it's based on performance, but we work hard in staying with everyone. And we have consultant care, and making sure that we're meeting everyone with any difficulties. And we have, we get feedback from the managers. We're working with everyone to make sure that they get to that $5 increase. So they go from 25 to 30. Now that's the standard. But of course, you always have people who exceed expectations, people who break the ceiling, that happens. So we've had people get pay increases before the 6 months. And again, the goal being by year one, they get converted. We've had clients convert by 9 months. We've had pay increases after that, between that 6 month to 1 year, based on performance, and that could look differently depending on everybody's individual performance at that time. But the market rate here in the state of Minnesota, I'll just go by that. The bottom is 60,000 to 80,000 has been what we were hearing, but we've been converting. People have converted as much as 85 to $95,000 after year one of being, going through the program and working. So that it can be a for many families who have a lot of responsibilities. There may be that short term sacrifice for that long term goal of getting to that market rate. So we do provide for our consultants medical, health, vision after 30 days. And then after 6 months, 401k kicks in for our consultants with the barriers to entry program.
Yeah, so 15, 25, 30, and then at their placement or after converted at the
We
client.
we can get into that 35, 40 rate if they, were staying, if they stayed on. And then there's some people who don't convert at year one. They can continue to stay in contract. Maybe they need a little more work
Yeah.
in maybe they need some more training. And we stay with them. We make sure that we can do that. So there have been some folks who need a little bit more time till they convert. But again, we have a very high success rate, and it's not by accident, because we continuously support them through that first year. We're making sure they need more. If there's a pivot in the work, and their role is changing, we make sure that we jump in with the proper training. And our instructors make sure that they give them the tools that they need, and the resources they need to learn and stay, an asset with the company.
Okay, nice, nice. And I'm glad you even mentioned the scenario where an individual can maybe be converted even before the 1 year mark. It seems like
Mhm.
again, like you guys are not trying to penalize people and hold them back, saying, "Oh no, you gotta keep them here so we can make X amount of margin off their salary for however time." You're like, hey, if the client is happy and satisfied and they're exceeding expectations, you guys go ahead and let them convert sooner if they're like a rock star
Mhm.
employee. So I think that's great.
For sure. We don't want to hold nobody captive. We have a 1 year contract, and that's just to protect us, so that the client has an asset for 1 year. But we want to meet the needs of our client. Like you said, that's where the money is. We want to make sure that we can bring them. They're going to come back for more when they see all these amazing barrier to entry folks that are coming in, and they're just breaking the ceiling, exceeding expectations, and that's what's happening. So yes, we do invest in those who come into the program. The York Solutions invests in folks in training. But that's why we make sure that we go through the assessment to hire the right people. So if you like, I can tell you what that looks like. How do you get into the program?
Yeah, definitely. That was gonna be the next question because I know I wanna kinda, like, give people kinda the cheat code, not in the sense of like, "Hey, the answer is BBCD on a multiple choice test," but I want them to make it
Mhm,
as easy as possible, have their expectations set on what they can expect when applying to the
mhm,
program and then going through the different
mhm.
stages of the interview process. So, what does that
Yeah,
actually look like?
yeah, and I'm glad you said it, because we're very transparent. This program is not easy to get into. And I want to make sure that individuals know that if you want to get into this program, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some work. So we have an assessment, and the assessment, it starts off with you applying into the program. We have a tool where you go and apply, and you can, find that on our website. And once you apply, we get all of your information. You start off with, there's a quiz. It's a timed quiz, and it's a logical reasoning. So I would encourage folks to do some of those logical reasoning practice quizzes that are out there online. There's many of them. And, you have that logical reasoning problem solving quiz. It's 22 questions, and you have to get 14 of them correct, and it's timed 60 minutes. So it's not, if you struggle with time tests, if you struggle with that, you really need to prepare yourself for that in advance, because if you take the test and you fail it, you have to wait 90 days before you can come back and, reapply. And so once you pass through that quiz, the next step is that we have projects. We have an HTML project, a SQL project, and then we have a JavaScript. We call it Learn HTML, Learn SQL, Learn, because we want to see if you're teachable. We want to see how, if you're able to learn these languages. So the first one is the HTML. So once you pass the quiz, you do the Learn HTML project. And then once you get that done, then you get what we call an intake interview. And it's us, and we're live. We'll meet with you. It's typically our recruiter who does that. And then once you pass that, then you get the two other projects, the SQL and the JavaScript. And then we have what we call our technical interview. It's not like a typical technical interview where you're actually live coding. What we're doing is we're pulling up your coding that you did, and you need to speak your coding. You did it. We want to hear, what did you struggle with? What did you learn? Explain, your code, and what did you do? And I always tell people, you want to, it's this, the intake is more of an informal interview, but the technical is a formal interview. And the technical interviewer is only looking at your technical abilities, your ability to learn, your ability to potentially be in the class and be able to learn these languages. So it's important to know that in that technical interview, you want to prepare for it. You want to take notes while you're doing these projects, so that you can kind of refer back to them. You can see the work that, you can remember what you've done, especially sometimes it can take, a long time, anywhere from 2 weeks to a month before you get that technical interview. And sometimes it takes folks 2 weeks to 2 months to finish their projects, depending on, the capacity they have to do that. And also know that in our assessment process, although we have that timed quiz, the projects, you can do them at your own pace. You can save and go back in. We have resources within our tool that can help you to study. You can Google, ask a friend if you know a developer, whatever you need to do solutioning to finish those projects. They're not timed. So you can do them at your own pace. Some people take 2 days, some people take 2 weeks. So it's important to know that you want to take your time, you want to do it to the best of your ability, because not only are we going to be looking at your technical side, we're also going to, look at the whole person. So once you finish that technical, and you'd have to pass that technical, they have to see that you have the ability and the potential, right? Because that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for perfect coding. We're looking to see that you understood what you did and you learned from it. And then we have a waiting list right now, and that's typically what happens is people go on the waiting list if they pass through the assessment. And depending on the client need, if they want people in particular states, because we just had a client that wanted people only in the Jersey City area. So of course we could pull from the waiting list people that were that were commutable in that area. Or if they have a client that only wants people in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, we can pull from our waiting list. But we also want to make sure people know that our application process doesn't close. So it's good to get applied and get on that waiting list, do life and do the things you do, because it could take, 2 months, maybe even longer before you can get into a class. We don't have a cadence of classes. So it's not like we can say we're starting a class. We just know like this quarter, we're probably going to have probably anywhere from 2 to 4 classes, depending on when those contracts are finalized. Because again, they're written up front first. We make sure that we have our tailored curriculum, and everything can happen and be completed before we start a class. We know the exact number, when we will know when they're going to start working and all those things. So all of that's defined at the beginning. So that assessment, take your time, you do it well, you do it to the best of your ability. You don't rush through it, because if you don't pass any, at one part of any of that assessment, you have to come back in 90 days and start all over.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this. Have you seen people come into the program with like no prior coding knowledge or coding experience at all? Like just cold turkey pretty much?
That's the majority. Career change is one of the big things that's happened over the last 2 years around software development. And I don't have a percentage, but I know it's more than half, probably about 60% of folks that come in have no IT experience. We do have about 30% of people who have gone through maybe a coding program or a boot camp. And then they come into our program, that one thing about coming out of a boot camp, and I have to say, and I mentioned this to you before. Some boot camps are predatory and they don't even give you really basic foundational level things. And then there's some people who take, courses online and, they have some history. But there's about 30% of folks that come out of the boot camps and come into our program. It's really a great next step for folks. I try to focus on meeting with people coming out of boot camps. There are there's a really great, some great ones here in the Twin Cities. And I meet with the graduates and let them, know this is opportunity for the next step, especially if they can't, they hit that barrier now where they have that 0 to 1 year experience and
Yeah.
they're not getting in the door. So having that foundational level skill knowledge, though, coming out of a boot camp, you can do really well into our program. And what we also do is that if there are individuals who come into our program and they do have a higher level knowledge, we can place them in make them a technical lead, and they can assist in the class. And sometimes they might stay in two cohorts and then be placed with a client, and then we pay them a higher hourly pay. That works for individuals as well. So that is one thing that happens for people that come out of boot camps as well. But yeah, majority of folks don't have IT experience. And if they do, very little.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm glad you broke that down because that was actually going to be my next question as far as like the boot camp grads, because I know there's a lot of programs out there and people will seem very eager and excited to sign up for boot camps, but then sometimes there can be kind of a waiting period where hey, you got this boot camp experience, this certification, but you're having a hard time landing a job, and I feel like hey, this could be a perfect transition for those individuals. Is there anything in particular like from talking to the B2E grads where you've been able to like identify like, hey, the people that did XYZ tend to have a higher likelihood of success in the program and getting placed at a client or getting placed quicker at a client? Because I think like 90 or 100% of your people get placed at the client. So is there anything in particular like a trait or is there anything that you would recommend that people do that are watching this to help improve their likelihood of success, either getting into the program or then exceeding once they're in the program?
Yeah, there's a few things. One is we have people have come in with zero IT experience, have never done coding, and but they come in ready to learn and they have a willingness to learn. And again, being transparent, this program is accelerated. There's a lot to learn. So really you have to come in and kind of some people have to make some sacrifices, and that what that looks like for many folks is just complete focus on this class, not working another job, not trying to take another class, just being completely 100% focused during your 3 months of training. So you got to come in and be prepared for many people to shift their life to doing just that. And that can be difficult, especially for those who have children. That work-life balance can shift to it's going to be more work than life right now. So you need to make sure that you have the daycare during the times during training hours, that you're making sure that you have a space where you can learn we had an individual, oh, it breaks my heart. We had a young man who we didn't find out to the end when we couldn't successfully graduate him because he was in a space where he was in a living room staying with his sister and children running around and a lot of noise. What we saw was him not being active and not participating. And the reason why is because he was on mute a lot. And he didn't tell us all this. We could have, and he was located right here in Minneapolis. We could have brought him into our office and he could have took the class there. And, the folks I work with, they have hearts of gold. Somebody would have made sure he got there every day. Our CEO probably would have picked him up and made sure he got there every day because he was amazing. And so I put him back on the waiting list. You're coming back. We got to get you back when we have another cohort. But you got to be ready to make this huge commitment.
I love it. A great opportunity, get paid to learn on the job all that. I think
Mhm.
it's great. I hope that more companies kind of follow this model and this example that York and so many others are starting to implement. And I think you guys have kind of proven that you can do both. You know, do good
Mhm.
and make money at the same time. And I love
Right.
it. I got a few more questions before I let you go.
Mhm.
I'm curious. Like, I don't know if you know the full story behind it, but what was kind of the motivation for you guys starting this program? Because I mean, you guys are a IT company. You're providing tech solutions and consulting with different clients. So what made you guys decide, hey, let's start this B2E program, this barriers to entry program, and start looking at recruiting from a non-traditional standpoint?
Yeah, our VP was brought in at the very beginning, and she always tells a story because, you know, there, there, there's many corporations and organizations are recognizing that there's an underserved community of folks, amazing people out here. They're smart, they're talented. They can go into IT, but they just don't know they can. And or the path to get into IT. And like as you mentioned before, it's not always computer, not everyone can go get a computer science degree. And even though that is amazing and a lot of folks can get into IT coming out of that, a lot of companies have realized that not just people coming out of computer science degrees are meeting the needs. There are many positions going unfilled in IT. And a lot of companies are trying to be more creative in how they recruit. You have recruiting differently. And our CEO and I believe the founder of York, as I again, this is before I came, they really were trying to come together and think of more creative ways because our CEO also, he non-traditionally got into IT himself. And so he really has a heart for making sure that this underserved community gets served and brought in. Corporations, they know that there's all this untapped resources. And a lot of companies realizing this is the way to go. This is the way to do it. There was a big tech summit here in the Twin Cities. And the conversation the whole time was, let's remove this 4-year degree away out of and get people in at entry level and get them in and mentor 'em, get more apprenticeships programs in these companies. So it is the talk. It is changing. It's shifting. And yes, what we do is a little different. I'm thankful that York has an opportunity to invest in folks up front and make sure that they get the training and get into these companies. But it's important to know that the need, probably the demand in the conversations that that clients were having is what got the company going. But this company has a really great heart too. And they want to change. I feel like my role right now is I'm life changer. I'd say that all the time. And it means like I want to change lives. I'm an alumni of this program. I graduated from the pilot program in 2016 and it changed my life. And but I did not know then that this was something that I could even do. And so that's another avenue that I've been pursuing is making sure that folks understand that IT doesn't mean it's just the person you call when your computer is broken down. IT is everything. That all these transferable skills that people have, all the work that they're putting into a lot of jobs. A lot of people are putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in jobs, and they're not getting anything back from that. They're not able to build for a career. And I had that opportunity, and I make sure now that I'm talking to people. You can do this. And did you know there's other functional roles in IT that you don't have to if you don't want to code, there all these development teams have people leading them. And there's so many different capacities and so many different functional roles in the tech field. And so I want people to know that your transferable skills can equal IT as well. And so that's what we do. We do have the functional role. Right now, we're not taking applicants for that, but we the need is coming back. One of our huge clients just had Scrum Masters come in and train and go in, and they're doing really well. They've only been 2 months there, and they're already exceeding expectations at this client. They're already giving me great feedback. And that was what I did. I went to 3M. I got a Scrum Master certificate, but I didn't go in as identified as being a Scrum Master. It was more like project management, agile project management type work because they were just implementing agile at that time. And I had an amazing journey and I became an agile coach and trainer. And that's what I continue to do. So I didn't even know of Scrum Mastering. Hadn't even heard of agile and other things in tech that when I got into the field, I'm like, wow, there's all these jobs out here. People are doing this in different capacities. And people are already out here working hard. Let's reverse this and come work hard for yourself and gain the skills in a career. That's the way to go.
It's awesome, D. And you, we're on the same wavelength because that was exactly where I was about to go with the next question, highlighting your experience at 3M as an
Mhm.
agile trainer. And I'm glad you mentioned that you went through the program as well. How well prepared, since you are an alumni and you went through the program, the pilot program of barriers to entry, how well prepared did you feel once you were at the client, like on your own, and or maybe you weren't on your own, maybe York was still providing some mentorship or support, but how well prepared did you feel after the program? Like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Like, I got this, y'all. Yeah, watch out.
I was I had complete imposter syndrome. I gained a lot of knowledge and skill, but when you learn new things and you walk into a new space, it took me some time to understand that I was good enough. I had to see that the work that I learned and the things I learned, I hadn't really understood transferable skills. Like that was a new thing for me, but I got it soon in when I was like, oh, I've been doing this. I did this at my last job. I realized sitting with others that I communicated better than some. I understood some of the things I learned in the barriers to entry training, some of the different methodologies and the ways that working with others and people's disc profiles and all the things I started implementing some of the learnings. I didn't go in feeling like I was ready, but I felt like I could do it. The Bears Entry program made me understand that I was capable and I grew in ways that I had never thought I was capable of going into something completely new. And we're also understanding that I had a mindset that I did not think I could do that work. Even though I had done a lot of work, I raised 6 kittens, like, somehow sometimes you you are what you see around you in the world that we live in. I didn't see anybody that looked like me. I didn't talk to somebody and they said, "I'm a scrum master," or "I'm a developer," or "I work in IT." I didn't meet people like that. And if I did, I thought, "Oh, they've gone to college and for 4 years and, did this." And I didn't have all of what I thought I had to do this work. And so it's important to know too that there are so many people out who don't know about the opportunities, and that's another thing there. The barriers to entry program, there's a lot of programs out here that are doing similar work. Maybe not exactly, I'm a little biased. I think we're one of the best. But there are some amazing programs throughout the country that are doing similar work. And the opportunities to get into IT is a lot more vast now than just getting a computer science degree. And there's a lot of unfilled positions out here across the country. Really here, I can speak for Minneapolis, St. Paul area. They go thousands of positions just go unfilled because they don't have enough people applying for them. So they're like, wait, what do we do? We got to figure out a way to get folks in. So a lot of these companies are like, okay, we need to do something different because even if we were to get all the people who get computer science degrees and get them in these roles, we still aren't going to be able to fill it. So this is a good time for individuals to get in IT and tech is the future. IT is everything. And whatever you like, you probably could find something in IT that a role or a job that would fit. You like music? Well, you can get into the music and tech in IT. You like whatever it is you like to do, you like to teach. I always have loved to teach. I always love to get in front of people. Not everybody likes to do that, but I do. I really have that passion and so I turned those passions when I went to 3M and that's what I was when I was able to reinvent myself.
Awesome. So you went from non-technical to technical and now like spreading the gospel basically about tech. So it's cool that everything's kind of come full circle for you and you're able to do what you love and really help others transform their life. And I think that's definitely one of the motivations and then the reasons why this podcast was started because I think or not I think, but I know this is the perfect opportunity for where there's a need on the business side. There's not enough talent. There's not enough people in these spaces. And
Mhm,
there's a great opportunity and a demand where people, number one, they just don't know what opportunities
mhm,
are out there, like you said. And I think if we
mhm,
can make them more aware and give them opportunities, regardless of what their background is, whether they went to college or not,
Mhm,
whether they've been a stay-at-home mom for the past 8 years or 15 years or not,
mhm,
give them the opportunity to where they can really transform their life. And I think this could do wonders for when we look at, like, this inequity in this country specifically, and how we
mhm,
have this racial wealth gap, and we need to provide more opportunities for people to have higher paying jobs.
mhm,
I love what York is doing. I hope others can do the same or emulate what you guys have done. I've said it
mhm.
numerous times already. I hope to have my own apprenticeship program here in Houston in the near future, potentially. But what needs to happen in order for like more companies to adopt this? Do you have like a theory or a hypothesis on how companies can do this effectively, whether it's partnering with York or starting their own from the beginning? Like, what, in your
Mhm.
opinion, needs to happen for apprenticeship programs to be like an industry standard across the country?
Yeah, I'm starting to see some companies they're having their emerging talent programs. More companies need to invest. They need to invest in underserved communities. Black and brown people, we work harder than anyone. We've overcome so much. I don't even know why we're not dominating the tech field. To be honest, I mean, I can say why, but that's systemic. But I'm I really believe that the change is coming for companies. They're seeing the need, but we're a small company, York Solutions. What we do in the capacity of what we do is small. And so if we can do it, York Solutions has 5,000 consultants. That's it. The Barriers to Entry program it has 41 clients. We're talking Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 50. We're talking huge organizations, and we're just a small company. Every major company needs to have emerging talent coming in, and they need to be bringing having apprenticeships for in tech, in really in all roles. Functional roles, and software developers, all the different roles. It if we can do it, they certainly can. Um, and I do see a lot of seeds being planted. And I talk to anyone and everyone I can, and first question is, why aren't you doing this? Isn't your company doing this? I know I see huge companies here, Target here in Minneapolis. They have emerging talent programs. There's so many companies that aren't, and I'm asking some of those leadership, like, why aren't you? And they're so you need to go back to somebody and say, why aren't we? It needs to happen. I wish I had some magic dust I could sprinkle over. But my passion also is to get black and brown folks into tech. It's the future. It's not just about having a job, but having a career, having that work life balance, being able to have a job where you can live comfortably, and that we can close some of these gaps that we have. One thing that really is big for me, and I'm so passionate that I'm kind of changing and shifting that direction, is that we need to start with our young people. Here in Minnesota, we're probably less than 5% of our kids are learning how to code. Why? We need to be planting our seeds in these young people. That our high schools should be complete. Coding should be a standard across the board in our high schools, especially in our public schools. And I know a lot of private schools, they've implemented coding. And here in the Twin Cities, there are some companies like Best Buy's invested in some tech places for kids to learn coding. But all companies should also be investing in it, because not only is this the future, but our future needs to learn. They need to be starting now. And so that's why, I'm thankful that you have this podcast, and that you understand. But STEM, they're not getting the foundational knowledge they need. That miseducation that they're getting in our school systems. We really need to tear down our school systems, our curriculum, and build it from a tech aspect. I would really love to see that. So I know that wasn't your question, but that's kind of what I love. So, I talk to the kids in the high schools, and let them know about programs like the Bears Entry program and other programs, so that they can go, oh, if I can't go this college path, if I can't go this boot camp path and pay, 15, $20,000 for this boot camp, there are other avenues. There's other ways to go.
I love that. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the part about changing the school system. I think you gotta own the entire STEM pipeline or talent pipeline from K
Mhm,
through 12 all the way up to executive level. And I think we
mhm,
here in Texas, they require like 2 years of foreign language. And so, hey, coding or computer programming as just another language. So I mean, I think we need to
Mhm.
make this a mandatory change if we're gonna think about, hey,
Yeah.
what's the future gonna look like, and
Ooh.
how are we gonna meet the demand? So I think it's only gonna do wonders for the economy, for this country as a whole. The more diverse, the more skilled our entire workforce is, the better country we will be
Yeah.
collectively as a country. And so I'm all for it. Man, this has been a pleasure talking to you, D. I really enjoy learning about your own personal journey through the barriers to entry program, and then also having you share so many different insights as far as like what you guys typically look for in candidates, how people can improve their chances, the nuts and bolts and the details of the program itself. So I appreciate you for coming on. The one thing we haven't covered is how can people find the barriers to entry program? How can they find a program to apply, to get on the waiting list, or whatever the case may be? And then any other, I also want to give you the opportunity to mention any other details that we may have missed out on.
Yeah, I know you mentioned this at the front, but you don't have to have a college degree. A high school diploma is all you have. That drive, that tenacity, apply. Just apply. You can go to our website, York Solutions. You can put in B2E, barriers to entry, or York Solutions, and you can apply there and you can find out more about us. You can find out about York and see what we do. We have some amazing people that work here. And I'm not just a life changer. York Solutions has has invested hugely in the barriers to entry program, and it's growing. Our wait list is growing, and our client list is growing as well. And we started off with a team of 3 people, and now we have 3 times that for the barriers to entry program. And I see it's going to grow. It's going to even expand even more. Apply. Just go on our website and apply, and just look up barriers to entry, yorksolutions.net.
Perfect. And I'll make sure to put that link in the description for the video and the audio portion of the podcast so people won't miss out on that. But man, D, this has been a pleasure. I love what you're doing. I'll definitely stay in contact. If you ever need anything or want to promote any kind of new cohort that's starting up, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to spotlight that and let people know about it, spread the word for that program. But keep doing the great work that you're doing. It's much needed and I appreciate it. But yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I appreciate what you're doing. And I had a great opportunity to go and listen to some of your other podcasts, and thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. We need more of what you're doing, and just like your solutions, what we do, more companies need to be doing that. But thank you for the work that you do.
No problem. And I got to get a York Solutions alumni on here. Other than you, you're the first one, of
Okay.
course. But
I
let
can
me.
I'll send a whole bunch your way. I did send you an email with a young lady who her name's Kelsey Johnson, beautiful sister who she went through a boot camp program and then came through the Bears entry program, and she's working at one of our big clients right now. I think she's at Optum. Yeah, developer.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
she would, and I'll send you some folks. I would love to for you to understand on that aspect, because again, I'm not a developer, so the training and what they've gone through, their journey is different.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll figure it out. So I would love to have her on. That sounds amazing. Um, to you guys, the viewers, the people watching this, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This has been another great episode of the Custom Journeys podcast. I didn't mention it earlier, but make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Follow us on all social media platforms, and then also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you stream your audio podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back soon with another episode next week. Peace.